Video I'm just going to be showing you how to install, or how I install Nuheat Heat Mats. I'm going to be using a polymer modified thinset. In this case I'm using laticrete 253 gold. You can use Fullflex, Tech. You just want to use a good quality polymer modified thinset. And usually I always dampen the subfloor before I install put down the thinset, because if you don't do that, what happens is the plywood is thirsty and it'll soak the moisture right out of the thinset and weaken the strength of it. So, and it also helps clean up any dust or anything else that might be on the floor. But the primary reason is to make sure that the thinset doesn't dry or set prematurely. So I'm using a 1/4-inch square notch trowel here, and like I said, it's a polymer modified thinset. It's always a good idea to key in the thinset before you actually put the notches in it, and that's what I'm doing here. Is you use the back of the trowel to key in the thinset, and then you put some more thinset down and put in the notches. And this is a 1/4-inch square notch trowel. So that's what I'm doing here. Have your thinset spread. You want to roll your mat into it. Now I have some guidelines on the subfloor there to tell me exactly where this has to go, because I marked it down before. And then so you're going to put it into place, and then you're going to get your rubber float or a piece of 2x4 or a piece of wood of some kind. Just want to make sure you use something that's not going to cut the wires or damage the heat mat. So you just keep on patting it in, rubbing it in, and you want to get this heat mat embedded into the thinset. And try and stay off it as much as possible, because the thinset will come through the mat, and you're gonna have to get on it, but just try and keep off it as much as possible. And so you just rub your heat mat into the thinset, make sure it's completely embedded, and then you move on to the second half. I usually do half at a time. That way you don't have to actually pick it up. You can just roll it back a bit. So just get it into the thinset. Side, you want to go through the same process of dampening, keying in the thinset, and then spreading your thinset, and then smoothing it in and embed it into the thinset. And once you're done, you want to pick up a corner and just take a look underneath and see if it's embedded in the thinset properly. And then if you're all set with that, then it's time to go on to the next step. Heat mat all embedded in the thinset, it's time to move on and install the Ditra. Now this is a small bathroom, and I have everything pre-cut, and I moved, actually picked it up and moved it out of the way. I usually pre-cut everything anyway, but you usually just roll them back. But in this case, I actually just picked it up and moved it out. Now, because usually when you installing Ditra, you use a smaller trowel that I'm going to use now. Usually it's 11/64 by 11/64 square notch trowel to install the Ditra on plywood or a regular subfloor. But because I'm installing it on the heat mat, I find that if you use a larger trowel, it's easier to get the floor, the Ditra installed and embedded into the thinset. The wires sometimes in the heat mat make it hard for the Ditra to get embedded into the thinset if you use a smaller trowel. Well, that's what I found, and generally that's the way I do it. So I use the same 1/4-inch square notch trowel, and I spread my thinset, and then I try to stay off the Ditra completely because of the square notch trowel is bigger than it's supposed to be, and if if you walk on it too much, it can create like little humps of thinset under the Ditra where you step on it. So if you have any doubts, just use the regular recommended trowel for the Ditra, and don't use the 1/4 inch square notch trowel. But I usually just do it this way because I find it, like I said, a little easier to embed the Ditra into the thinset. So you spread your thinset like normal over the heat mat which you just installed, and because it's still I just installed the heat mat, I can use the same polymer modified thinset that I used to install the heat mat, and just install the Ditra the normal way. Spread your thinset, push it into the thinset, rubbing the Ditra with a wooden trowel or a steel trowel, and just to make sure that it gets embedded into the thinset. And that's about all there is to installing the Ditra onto the heat mat. All your Ditra down and installed, you're not quite done, because there is a probe for the thermostat which you need to install. And what I usually do is I cut a slit out of the Ditra so that I can embed the probe into the Ditra and lay the wire so that it's flat and at the same level as the Ditra, not on top of the Ditra. If you don't do that, what happens is the wire is going to be sitting on top of the Ditra, and it's going to be a little bit higher, or if you put it underneath, then it's going to make a hump in the Ditra. So by cutting out the slot and embedding the wire into it like that, the way I'm doing here, it just keeps everything on the same plane. You don't get any humps and bumps. So just make sure you get this wire to lay flat, and normally what I'll do is I'll stick this wire in, get it where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it's a pain in the ear, it moves, but you just got to be patient with it. And once you got it where you want it to be, usually what I'll do is I'll get some thinset and cover it with thinset, and get a piece of tile or something and lay it on top just to hold it overnight. And this probe needs to be in about a foot into the heat mat, and it has to be in the middle of two wires. You don't want it sitting on top of a wire. You want it to sit in between two wires, about 12 inches into the heat mat. It's really not hard to do. And then once you've done that, you're pretty much all done with the installation of the Ditra and the heat mat. Just make sure that you always follow the directions that with the mat, because they want you to test the continuity of the wires, etc., etc. So just make sure you follow all those directions, because the last thing you want is to install all the heat mat, and then you go to turn it on and it doesn't work. So just make sure you follow their directions when you install this heat mat, as far as testing for that the mat works. And then I'll usually just let it set overnight and install my tile the next day. And there I am. I bedded the wire, I covered it with thinset, and I'm going to put some weight on it now just to make sure that everything lays flat and that it doesn't move. that's pretty much it. Okay, installing the tile. In this case it was travertine tile, and this is what it should look like when you're done.